by Sunday evening. That will allow us to pump pretty much for 70% of Hanover and 35 to 40% of St. James. I think that's important for residents there to note. We do have a generator on site at this water treatment plant, so as soon as we're able to pull water into that facility, that will help. The Martha Brae system, which tends to be the next largest system supporting approximately 50% of northern Trelawney and about 50% of St. James, especially the Montego Bay metropolitan area, is being impacted by turbidity of the Martha Brae River. With where that is now, we expect that to significantly reduce over the next 36 hours. We do have generator on site. We will be able to pump water into homes immediately after turbidity subsides within that 36-hour period. Now, important to note, and this is something that happens all the time in St. James. St. James, pulling from one source, is perhaps an unfortunate way that we designed this water system some 40, 50 years ago. It takes a while to backfill the lines. So every time there's a break on the line in anywhere near Iberia Star or any of Coral Gardens where there tends to be line breaks, which is why we're replacing that line, it takes approximately 1 week to backfill those lines. We pump from the Martha Brae to the terminal reservoir in the center of Montego Bay and to backfill the lines right throughout the hilly interior of St. James, 1 week. We expect to start pumping within 36 hours. But I want there to be understanding that certainly immediately post that 36 hours, firstly, northern Trelawney will see water in their pipes, and then eastern St. James, not the political boundary, but the geographic region, will start to see the impact, and you'll move steadily into the center of Montego Bay to the terminal and the bogue systems there. Just want people to be aware that those are the constraints in that area. As it relates to Logwood, which is the major supply for Negril and sections up to about Landilo, it was damaged during the storm in terms of the electrical supply. We have repaired that and we have commenced pumping. So within the next 12 hours, persons from Logwood to Negril to about Landilo should be seeing water as we backfill those lines. We're working to do the assessments in the rest of Westmoreland. Access and connectivity with our team has indeed caused challenges. A team from Trelawney and Montego Bay is physically going to sites throughout the course of the day. We'll be better able to update as it relates Westmoreland, I would imagine by close of business. Portland, well, let me stick to the west first. St. Elizabeth, as you know, is in many ways ground zero. St. Elizabeth and I'd say eastern Westmoreland is ground level for the disaster. We are currently doing the assessments. There are 17 systems that we had evaluated between eastern St. Elizabeth and central Westmoreland that we have made arrangements for generators. We are working with the JDF to establish the routes to install these over the next 36 to 48 hours. You will recall that we had stated that it was 72 hours post all clear that we would be able to deploy these generators. At that 72-hour mark, it will take, for some of those systems, 12 to 18 hours to backfill the lines. So we're working through those issues. Clarendon is currently impacted heavily by energy issues, certainly at our pumps. The JPS has advised that the major ones that service central Clarendon, not political boundary, but geographic boundaries, will be energized by this evening. That will give us significant reprieve. However, the major issue that we faced was in the Mineral Heights and the Woodside facilities. Those were significantly damaged by storm winds. We'll have a better feel as to how long those will take for restoration by the close of business. Engineering teams are indeed already there. The St. Catherine treatment plant is already back in operation. We expect backfilling of lines from Spanish Town, certainly into Old Harbor, to be complete before the end of the day, and persons in St. Catherine should largely have water supply by close of business. That's for the plains. As we know, as you have many pumps that function as lift stations into the hilly interior, into places like Riversdale, that will take some time as we restore those systems. We're doing the assessments now. Portland and indeed St. Thomas, though not in the brunt of the storm would be impacted by turbidity issues and some power issues. We expect to deploy generators, 8 generators, which will function to restore approximately 50% of Portland and approximately 60% of St. Thomas before the end of the day. So we're working through those systems. Turbidity, we expect to largely subside over the next 36 to 48 hours. That will clear one hurdle. We're working very closely with our partners in JPS to restore power, firstly, to the systems that supply hospitals, infirmaries, places of safety, places of detention, and of course, airports, Minister Vaz. The other priority, which we had not stated, but we expect to be complete with our deployment of generators by tomorrow morning, is our loading bays for trucks. Those are being dealt with now. We have commenced loading bay operations at Logwood in Hanover to deal with most of Hanover and Western Westmoreland. We have commenced loading bay operations in Trelawney that will start to deal with Eastern St. James. We are working to get power source to a small well that we do have in Western St. James to commence trucking by this evening in the western half of St. James. Our trucking will be very inefficient because we may have to go to sources that are further away than the usual source as we get many sources up. But they will be operating, as of this evening, 24 hours a day to ensure we're able to backfill public institutions at night where we can get access and go into communities in the day. We are pushing very hard to deploy our generators and to work with JPS to hit our 70% target by the 72-hour mark of restoration for customers. Now, we are clear that many of our rural communities exist outside of the utility footprint and can be marooned or can be cut off from some of the small community tanks that they use. We have done an inventory of all the trucks that exist in the NWC license system, and we have mobilized those truckers to the stations that they can load, and we expect to be going into deep rural as well as into urban centers. We'll provide a further update, Minister Dixon, by way of some mechanism that me and you will agree this evening, perhaps around 6 o'clock, as we expect to have more progress at that time. Thank you.
Yes, he's going to update on the private sector meeting that I had said earlier.
So the Prime Minister, as a subset of the disaster risk mechanism, had asked me to engage with the private sector as it relates to food and medication. I would have had a meeting with the PSOJ, with representatives of the PSOJ, the JMEA, the JCC, the Shipping Association, and Port Authority this morning. We have looked at their current capacity on the ground. They're doing their internal assessments in terms of what they'll be able to contribute. They've formally engaged many of their suppliers for them internationally to also make donations, since they've benefited so well over decades in Jamaica. And we have formed a joint working group that will look at the distribution mechanism for over 200,000 packages over the next 10 to 21 days. That is the assessment of what we will need urgently to many of our affected communities. Now, this distribution mechanism will not be a one-size-fits-all. One of the things that we're doing throughout the course of the day and working with the JDF to do is we're assessing stores that exist in the areas worst affected that are standing and are able to operate and have stock and can be restocked because the roads are close to those areas. So in those areas where stores exist and have stock and are able to function, we'll be initiating a voucher system as soon as is possible because we don't need to mobilize physical goods to go there. Where stores are not in a position to operate, we will be dealing with packages, certainly with dry goods and non-perishables, so that they're able to make their own meals in that regard. We will also be supporting with several of their members in the food and beverage industry, through the JDF, through the ODPEM, through the Ministry of Labor, with cooked meals where they're able to support. So for instance, I know today across 3 of our major patty suppliers, some 35,000 patties are being baked to be sent to the West in Jamaica. And that's one initiative of many. But we will be reconvening mid-afternoon and we'll give a formal update in terms of how we plan to distribute significant food packages over the next 7 to 10 days to the worst affected areas this evening. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Minister. As you see, we're all jumping in where we can and supporting the effort as best as we can. One of the main questions we've had from the media, particularly, has been about the cat bond. And so, Minister Williams, we are going to ask you to give an update on that. Just noting we do have a cabinet meeting, so we will have to break soon because all of us are needed in cabinet. And so Minister Williams will go, and then Minister Mackenzie will give his and then Minister Williams first, and then Minister Wheatley, and then Minister Mackenzie will close.
Good morning again, everyone. All right, I know that we can agree that we can't prevent the storms and hurricanes that come at us. But one thing this government can be credited with is putting together a robust national natural disaster risk financing policy and taking the steps to ensure that we put the financing in place, the financing framework, and maintain it over the years and made it more robust, so that this morning we can stand here to remind you that that framework consists of several layers. The first layer that we can immediately call on is the contingencies fund with $5.3 billion. Then we have the National Natural Disaster Reserve Fund with $1 billion. There are some conditions that apply, and we'll work through those. Layered on top of that are our different insurance policies, and we do have 2 insurance policies with the Caribbean Catastrophe Insurance Facility, otherwise called CRIF, C-C-R-I-F, and the coverage there for tropical cyclone is US $91.6 million, and for excess rainfall, the coverage is US $37.3 million, of course. Those are also parametric insurance, meaning preset conditions, and those will be calibrated, and we will get information as to whether or not there would be a payout from that insurance. On top of that, we do have the catastrophe bond, otherwise called CAT bond, for a potential.
The race is on. Someone is about to transform your industry. And just like that, everything changes. What will they think of next? What will you?
Is triggered. I know that there have been many articles written, many questions asked. It was only this morning that I got word from our financial secretary, but I wish to take that word to cabinet for discussion before we talk about it publicly in the press. Additionally, we do have loans, contingent loans from our international partners. And so from the IDB, we also have a contingent credit facility of US $285 million. So you can see if the layers are exhausted, you can see how we can continue to the next layer. And so I just want to remind you that we do have these facilities in place. We don't have all the information just yet as to precisely what the payout will be from each of them. But as we get that information after updating the Prime Minister and the Cabinet, we will make that available to you. And you saw this morning as well the Premier from Cayman, $1 million Caymanian dollars. You heard the list from Minister Dana Dixon about just all the contributions that have come in to date. And so I know as the world looks on and they get more information about just the devastation that we faced, that we will continue to see our neighbors, not only in the Caribbean, but across the world, rally to our assistance. So that would be my update, Minister. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister Williams. So we now have Minister Wheatley. This is your first time with me. Good. And you have a very sobering update for us. So thank you, Minister, for being here.
Thank you very much, Minister. Good morning, everyone. While Jamaica and the government tries to deal with the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, we have some unscrupulous players, not necessarily within Jamaica, but worldwide, trying to take disadvantage of the situation. The Jamaica Cyber Incident Response Team, Jamaica CERT, is issuing an urgent alert to the public in Jamaica and worldwide regarding the emergence of fraudulent websites attempting to exploit generosity in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. Jamaica CERT's monitoring systems have detected multiple suspicious domains currently under development that appears designed to divert hurricane relief donations away from legitimate channels. In fact, up to last night, we identified 8 such sites, and just now it has been updated to 28 sites that are attempting to divert contributions, donations from legitimate sources. These malicious actors are creating fake websites with names deliberately similar to Jamaica's official donation portal. We have identified some of these domains as JamaicaHurricaneHelp.net, JamaicaHurricaneHelp.org, Jamaica-Hurricane-Help.com, MelissaReliefJamaica.net, MelissaReliefJamaica.com, MelissaReliefJamaica.org, SupportJamaicaGovJM.com, SupportJamaicaGovJM.net. And you recognize that the last two are very much similar to our official website. The main difference is that all of our websites, our official website ends with .gov.jm.com. What you have identified, ladies and gentlemen, is that these sites are at varying stages of development. But Jamaica CERT suspect that these sites may become active in coming days. The only legitimate government website for Hurricane Melissa relief donations is https://www.supportjamaica.gov.jm. So you'll see that our official website ends with .gov.jm. How should you protect yourselves? Verify the URL carefully. As I stated earlier, the official site ends in .gov.jm and not .com, .net, or .org. We ask that persons who wish to donate to type the address directly. Do not click links in unsolicited emails or social media messages. Look for security indicators. Ensure the site shows https:// and look for a padlock icon. Again, that speaks to the security of the site. We are asking persons to be suspicious of urgent requests. Scammers create artificial urgency to bypass your careful judgment. We ask that you research any organization. If you are donating through a charity, verify its legitimacy through independent sources. What to do if you encounter a suspicious site? Do not enter any personal or financial information. Do not make any payments. Report the site immediately to Jamaica CERT at jamaica.cert@opm.gov.jm. And you must also share this warning with friends and family as well. A message to our international donors. The government of Jamaica recognizes and deeply appreciates the global outpouring of support for Jamaica during this difficult time. We urge all international donors to exercise caution and use only the official government portal. Your generosity should reach those who need it most, not criminal enterprises. Jamaica CERT continues to actively monitor for additional fraudulent domains and is working with international cybersecurity partners and domain registrars to shut down these malicious operations. Again, the public will be notified on a continuous basis of any development in this area. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamaica, Hurricane Melissa has caused significant damage across Jamaica, and the need for legitimate assistance is real and urgent. By staying vigilant against these scams, we can ensure that charitable donations reach the Jamaican people who desperately need support.
Thank you, Minister. You heard it. There are people out there trying to get money via nefarious means, and you have to, that's why we created the .gov.jm extension, because we know that we need to be able to say that something is legitimately the government of Jamaica. There are some other legitimate sites that are out there, some very important organizations. Please do your research before you use any of them. If you're looking for the official government of Jamaica site, it is supportjamaica.gov.jm, and so many people, there have been thousands of people already on that site giving contributions from around the world, and we thank all of them. And we've been joined by Minister Grange, who has said that she is doing some work in terms of mobilizing to support from the entertainment sector, and we know she's very good at that, and we're going to need all of that support going forward. And so you'll be hearing more on the initiatives coming out of the Ministry of Culture and Entertainment and Gender and Sports as they support the effort to get the donations in and to support the communities that are in need. And so our last presenter this morning, and we do have to go to Cabinet, is Minister Mackenzie. Minister Mackenzie is our Deputy Chair of the National Disaster Risk Council, and he'll give you his official update.
Thank you, Minister, colleagues, permanent secretaries, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. I will be very brief because most of the updates that are probably critical to the concerns of many Jamaicans have been addressed by Minister Vaz, Minister Morgan, and Minister Semuda. And we have had another layer of concerns based on the presentation just made by Minister Wheatley. I just want to quickly give an update on the state of our shelters and to advise that presently we have 521 shelters which are fully in operation. Now, the numbers in the shelters would have reduced substantially over the last day because many persons who went to the shelter out of precaution have left those facilities and have gone back home. So we are down to about 13,000 persons within shelters. I know we can't speak specifically to the 4 parishes that has been devastated because the communications with those parishes is very difficult. I got a call from the mayor of Black River this morning, and we spoke, and we are making arrangements to get food and water into Slipe and another community in St. Elizabeth that he spoke to me about, and those efforts are presently on the way. Just to advise the country of the 6 most severely impact parishes, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Trelawney, and over Westmoreland and St. James. Over 170 communities within these parishes have been moderately or severely affected by flooding, land slippage, and other aspects of Hurricane Melissa. Just want to update that the Emergency Secure Response Team, and Minister Dixon would have spoken briefly to it earlier on, comprising 117 members of the Jamaica Defense Force Disaster Assistance Response Team, the DART, has been deployed to assist with search and rescue, and they are en route making clearance and distributing food packages along with the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Fire Brigade in many communities that are accessible. The relief operation continue in collaboration with national and international partners, including World Food Program, UNICEF, SIDEMA, and other such agencies, the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, and thousands of well-thinking Jamaicans. Already, Minister Williams met the Caymanian delegation, and more relief supplies are en route to Jamaica. I just want to close now by saying I spoke yesterday again about the question of the operation of the shelters. And again, social media is making hell out of what the government is doing. There is no truth that as of midday today, all shelters will be closed. That is not true. That is just not true. So the shelters will remain in operation, especially in the parishes that have been severely affected by the passage of the hurricane. We are making arrangements as I speak to get igloos with ice and water and food supplies to these affected areas. Over the next 2 days, a massive relief program between ODPEM, the Ministry of Labor, and our partners will intensify to get relief supplies to the various communities. Later on, I hope we will be able to give a proper update on the number of deaths so far. Again, I've been hearing some stories that I don't want to repeat, and I'm not going to repeat those stories because the police have not confirmed those reports. But what I will say is there has been casualties, and we do anticipate, based on our information, that there'll be more. But I'm asking persons only to respond to the official statement coming out of the ODPEM or from the Minister of Information, who will receive those information and will provide them to the public. So this is just a brief update. We continue to work. We continue to do all we can to ensure that we reach those who are in need. Thank you, Minister.
Okay, thank you very much, Minister. So you see there's a lot of work happening, and as I said at the top, the Prime Minister plans to, as long as the weather holds up for him, he will be going to see Westmoreland today and Hanover, and he will continue the flyovers of the interior, so some parts of Clarendon too, and Manchester and Trelawney we'll also be able to look at. The helicopters are already up, JDF is up. We are actually starting to get food out into the affected areas as best as possible, we will continue to do that. I just need to note there are many international development partners and agencies that are working with us. The World Central Kitchen is one that is doing quite a lot of work. They've done over 100 million food packages around the world last year, and they are on their way to Jamaica. They actually have already started. I know they have a partnership with Island Grill, and they were distributing food already. And they came in this morning, Minister Williams is saying, and they're going to do some real good work with us. I know Hart will be working with them, with some of our trainees in the chef area. They did some yesterday, 6,400 meals yesterday, 20,000 today, and 100,000 per day is what they're trying to do. We also have some other partners who are coming in today with helicopters specially designed to deliver food in areas that are cut off. And so we're going to be able to drop food items, even if we cannot get there by road. We're going to drop food items in the affected areas. We are working hard to get food to people and water as is necessary. In terms of other updates that I'll quickly give you before we move on, I just wanted to note that I know there's some persons in Kingston.
Vistaprint prints everything to get your brand in front of your fans, like t-shirts, water bottles, and totes, so everyone can gift it, work in it, and take it. Whether it's one of a kind or one for your whole team, if you need it, we print it with 20% off for new customers at Vistaprint.com.
Army that will go out to the communities that need it. Yesterday, I told you there's a big team at ODPEM that's working 24 hours a day. Yesterday, we had some really great Samaritans just show up. Good Samaritans show up. Michelle Smith from Chocolate Dreams, she brought brownies for the team there. Summer Palace delivered special lunch for the team there. Sugar and Spice dropped off cakes for them. I just want to thank Corporate Jamaica that is trying to just support all of the emergency teams that are working. We have a lot more work to do, and we are very grateful for all support that is coming in. I'm going to now move to the questions. I have some questions here. There was one again about bodies. We are hearing reports of dead bodies. We have to confirm them, as I said, and as I said, the police are going to be working on that. The JDF does have a helicopter that will be going out. We will retrieve whatever bodies there are, but we have to confirm them before we can give you any numbers, and we're actively working to do that right now. I have a question for Minister Morgan. So if you can just join me, Minister Morgan. It is from Emily Shields, and she would like to know about the NWA teams and private contractors. Are they working from St. Elizabeth westward, meaning they won't get to Westmoreland until St. Elizabeth is cleared? Is the NWA team working all over the country?
Thank you very much, Dana, for that question. The National Works Agency has engaged contractors in every single parish. Even before, and I want to explain it, at the beginning of the hurricane season, the NWA invites qualified contractors to tell us, do you want to work if there's a disaster? And many contractors say yes. Since the event of Melissa, we again reached out to not only qualified contractors, but anyone who has equipment who is willing to assist us. And we have said to the parish teams, if the person has a backhoe, a front-end loader, an excavator, and there's a need for it, use them. We can deal with the administrative side of it after. So there is absolutely no restriction nationally about the engagement of reputable persons who have equipment and expertise to assist in the recovery. Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, St. Elizabeth, Trelawney, all parishes across the island. And I want to say to the people in Westmoreland, it goes for you as it goes for Hanover, as it goes for Trelawney, as it goes for Clarendon.
Thank you. Everybody.
Thank
We
you
are
very much.
everywhere. NWA is everywhere. There is no area that is being focused on. They are everywhere. I think we have one here. Thank you, Minister. But you could stay because I think they may ask you more questions. Mahiri? Can't hear you. Right.
Thank you. Before we head to nationwide, Minister Dixon, I know a lot of persons have been reaching out. They want to become volunteers. They want to become volunteers. And there's this popular site that I would want someone from ODPEM to confirm. It's odpem.itechinnovations.com. We just want to know if this is a legitimate site where persons can register to become volunteers, please.
All right, they're asking
That's
that you
not
go to
the-
ODPEM. There's something that sounds weird, but
There's
we'll
not.
find out. That's Minister Mackenzie.
We welcome volunteers. The ADPEM already have they have about over 2,500 volunteers. But that website that you just named is not something that we are familiar with, so I would refer people to go directly to the ADPEM website, okay? To the ADPEM website, please.
All right, thank you,
All right, I'm
Minister.
just noting there's some, I know there was a call yesterday for volunteers to help with the Salvation Army, for example, and many persons went there this morning. I've been seeing pictures of people packing food there to support. And so we're going to be, there are avenues for volunteering. Obviously, right now, we're focusing on clearing the roads, on getting supplies to those who need it. And there are opportunities to volunteers, but go on ODPEM. There are a lot of sites, as Minister Wheatley has said, that are masquerading as official sites, so please be careful.
Morning, everybody. Mahiri Stewart, Nationwide News here. Question to Minister Mackenzie. We did hear of one incident of one of the disaster response workers being injured before the hurricane had made landfall, but following the passage, we know of the citizens that are marooned, but in terms of the workers that are already in the areas working, is there anything you can say in terms of whether or not they're okay?
The workers, the question was about our emergency response workers. Are they all okay? Has anyone been injured?
Well, thank God they are okay, and they have been working 24 hours around the clock, especially in the areas that have been affected more than other areas. And I must commend the JDF, the Jamaica Fire Brigade, and the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and our workers on the ground. They have been true to the cause, and they are doing a wonderful job. And thank God so far, none of them have sustained any injuries.
And question to Minister Morris Dixon. We've received reports at Nationwide News of some institutions that have dorms that are closing the dorms despite the fact that they may have students in them that are from the areas that have been worst hit by the hurricane. In terms of your advice to these schools that are housing these students, what would you advise them to do?
What I would say is that we are Jamaican people and we take care of each other. We cannot send home a student to a place where they do not have shelter. We cannot do that. We have to think about each of these students, think about what they are going through. Many of them have not heard anything from their families. And so we have to do the responsible thing, and I ask all of the leaders across the system that they do the right thing, and I know they know what the right thing is. Ask yourself, what would Jesus do? And do that.
And last question, I guess it would be to Minister Vaz. We know that the JUTC, for the most part, is up and running in this area. I know the rural school buses were used in terms of transporting persons to shelters. But given that schools aren't open right now, in terms of the usage of those rural school buses, will they still be used during this process to get aid to different areas?
At this point, whatever, at this point, whatever is needed will be done. If that becomes a necessity, we will action it.
All right. Thank you. I think those are all of the questions. As I said, we do have a cabinet meeting that we need to get to. But again, saying to Jamaica that the government is working really hard. All our emergency teams are out there. The JDF is out there. And what's so amazing is that so many Jamaicans have been going out to help the JDF team. We are trying to get to the areas that have been marooned. We will get there. We also have equipment in that we are clearing right as we speak that can drop the food items and other supplies into communities that are marooned. We are going to get to every single Jamaican and give them support. So as we close, we thank you. We will be giving another update tomorrow. Stay tuned for that time, and we will run off to cabinet. But as always, let's continue to pray for those who are hurting, who are really, really deeply in distress today across Western Jamaica. Let's keep them in prayer, and let's pray for the entire country of Jamaica. Thank you.